but her boss sent an email and said, "So-and-so is out of the office today, so class is canceled due to illness." You didn't have to say she has an illness. Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am Selena. We will talk about oversharing, why we overshare, why it's important to stop, and what we can do moving forward to stop it. This is more so something that I wish I would have learned early on as someone in my late 20s. Do y'all hear that dog outside? I am sitting on the floor and my windows are open. It's more of like a breathable, sit down, relaxing topic. I'm not here to yell at you, so I'm more so coming to you as your bestie who's trying to help. And this is honestly something that we should all learn. I am coming to you as someone who used to overshare all the time. I used to offer information, and that's really not good. Why do we overshare? Sometimes we want to seek that emotional connection and validation. When someone's sharing something in conversation, maybe they're confiding in you, you might want to be relatable, or you might want to share your connection with them. And sometimes that may come to haunt you. We can also overshare as a trauma response, trying to find that connection as well. Or maybe that's something that we're just used to or we've learned. We can also be afraid of silence, or bored in a conversation and have word vomit. I have definitely done that. And that can be derived from overthinking too, when you're like, wait, why are they quiet? I need to start a conversation. This is happening in my life, I'm gonna share it. So those are several reasons why, but it's important to figure out for you why you're oversharing right now and how we can solve that first, and then we can move on and fix it. Why it's important to stop. Any information, any knowledge is power, and your privacy is very important. And your privacy should be a priority. So if you are sharing any type of knowledge or information about you, that information is given to someone else and they have the power to do whatever they want with it. This can be a good thing, this can be a bad thing. However, you never know someone's intentions. You can't take back what you said. You can't say something and then erase it from their minds. And once they have that information, they could either spring it back to you, remind you of it, and it happened several years ago. They can tell it to someone else and you don't know who that someone else is, and if someone else told someone else. The stereotype people will be preying on your downfall, it can definitely be true. Now, I don't say this in a negative way. I don't say this to think that everyone's out to get me or everyone is out to get you. However, this can also be unintentional too. Not everybody would be rooting for you or in your corner, even if you think they are. Just something as silly as, if you get an opportunity to do something, they might be jealous and they're like, oh, I wish that could be me. Whether or not that's blatantly said, it could be thought. So I want you to think about that. Even if this is someone that you trust, not everyone has the best intentions or even the best opinions of you. With that said, when you do overshare, you give people new information and the perspective they've had of you before. They have this new information that either goes against the opinion they had of you before, and they create a new one. It kind of opens the door for them to, think what they want. And people will think what they want. You can't control what people think, but you can be selective about what you share. People can unconsciously share things that you have said. Just really figuring out your why and why you overshare is the first way to resolve this. It's the root of the problem. Are you looking for a connection with anyone? Are you looking for support? And figure out what support sources you do need. Now, it's very important that we stop. It's important that you need to stop volunteering information about yourself. Information and knowledge is power, right? So if you share that, you're giving someone else that power to do whatever they want with it. And you never know their intentions, if they're good or bad. that information is still being shared about you. We definitely need to be selective and establish that boundary. The stereotypes can be true. That stereotype of people will prey on your downfall. I used to think that was not true. I used to think, why would someone intentionally not want someone to be successful and happy? Well, I learned that the hard way in several different ways. This can be something as silly as, oh, I wanted that job promotion, I hope they don't get it. Or this can be as silly as, oh, I've always wanted to go on that vacation, why do they get to go? Why does she have this opportunity? Why can she go to this event and I can't? It does sound silly and it sounds dramatic, but unfortunately, that's the way it is. And these are things that I wish that I had learned early on. As someone in my late 20s, I wish someone would have sat down and talked with me about these things. Hopefully, in sharing this video today, I can help you. Thinking about that information and that knowledge, that's your business. That's your peace. That's your privacy. You need to think about prioritizing your privacy, your peace, and your happiness. If you share things with people, what's the outcome of that? Is there a purpose? Find your purpose in why you're sharing. That can be hard to figure out at first, and that's okay. And it's okay to identify that because now we can move forward and fix it. Once you overshare, you give them more information and you open the door for them to think something else about you. And that contradicts the original opinion they've had of you. And it gives them the opportunity to create a new one. So if you think about that, that can also cause a domino effect of people just creating things and thinking things about you. And I mean this as someone who's had that experience from family, from friends, from coworkers. And it doesn't mean that everyone has bad intentions, but just acknowledging and identifying that people will always have opinions of you, and being true to yourself, being private, will protect your mind and will protect how you interact with people. If you're always oversharing, you're kind of giving someone else that responsibility and that role as someone who can validate you, someone who will listen to you, someone who's always your go-to for advice, guidance. And I want you to ask yourself, is that something that you want to do? Do you want to, rely on others for figuring out your life? Do you want to rely on others for making you feel validated and supported? Do you want to rely on others for making decisions in your life? It's always helpful to get guidance, but you are your number one supporter. You are the number one person that you can rely on. And so this is all just something to think about. Let's talk about how to stop. Being selective with your information is the key. It was hard for me to be selective at first because I would just get so excited about things and want to tell people things. But then I realized that when I shared something, it just always seemed to backfire on me. For example, and this is something that I already have a video on, but I had to take a very important exam to be registered in my field. I am a registered dietitian and there is a board exam that you have to take. This is a very high stress exam. Just like how registered nurses take the NCLEX. I made the mistake of sharing with friends and family, when my test date was, what I'm doing, what I'm studying, my dreams, my aspirations, my goals, before they had even happened. I ended up failing that exam twice. And I think a big piece of it was putting the stress on myself and, knowing that others know, oh, I'm going to take this exam today. And it's very sweet that people would be like, good luck. And then I had to do the whole spiel of telling every single person that I failed the first time. I didn't even tell people I failed the second time. But anyways, can you think about all that pressure? And that's something that's very small in comparison to other things that have happened to me in oversharing. But just thinking about something very important to you, whether it's a good thing, it can backfire on you. And this can be with other things. You know how when someone is trying to get pregnant and they try to avoid telling people when they first find out that they're pregnant, they wait till the 3 months when the miscarriage risk is gone. That's exactly what I'm recommending, waiting to share with people. And waiting to share also avoids unwarranted comments and opinions. Just like if someone's pregnant and people ask them, what names they're thinking about, then people will be like, oh, that's an ugly baby name, or why would you want to name your baby that? These are unwarranted comments. I didn't ask for your opinion. Just thinking about that. Or someone who wants to study art or make music for a living, I feel like the common story with that is people aren't always supportive of people going into competitive fields because it's just hard. But why would you open the door for someone to negate and kind of interfere with your mindset? Why would you open the door for unwarranted comments and opinions? Why don't you just share things when you do have those accomplishments? What you need to do is share things on a need-to-know basis. Recently at work, there was this girl in this other department and she was out of the office unexpectedly. Her boss sent an email because that girl teaches a class, but her boss sent an email and said, so-and-so is out of the office today, so class is canceled due to illness. You didn't have to say she has an illness. And so I actually talked to her at least every month. So when she came back into the office, I was like, hey, are you doing okay? Like, your boss's email said you had an illness. And that was not information that the whole team had to know or the whole department had to know. She could have just been like, she's out of the office today. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. People only need to know things on a need-to-know basis. If you really need to tell someone that's super close to you, hey, I'm at the hospital, can you let my dog out? That's an example of it. Now, we want to actively listen in a conversation. This is something that I had to learn, not be too quick to react to things and too quick to volunteer information. If someone is confiding in you, you never know what their intentions are in that conversation. Who knows if they just want to be heard or if they are seeking that emotional validation and support. And you may want to try to be relatable and be like, yeah, I struggle with that too. But that could be something unwarranted that you didn't necessarily need to share. So even taking 10 seconds to respond to someone can help. And even if this is via text or email, taking time to formulate your words, even creating a rough draft before you respond will help. Setting boundaries, that can be hard, especially if you're someone who has shared in the past and considered yourself an open book. But what you can do to more so distance yourself from giving up information and honestly taking a little bit of your power back, what you can do is create statements that do make boundaries, such as, I'm not ready to share that right now, or I'm working on that and I'll get back to you. Someone did ask me when my next exam date is. I was honest and I said, I don't want to share that right now. I'm focusing on studying and I'd like to share when I do pass. And then conversation was done. I thought it was going to be more of a pushback, but it worked. So setting those boundaries can be scary, but what's more scary is you not protecting yourself and you not having that peace. Privacy is peace, and prioritizing yourself is peace. Redirecting your connection. Again, if you do have connections with others and the dynamic of that relationship is maybe vent sessions or gossiping or sharing what happened to you this week. Maybe instead of always doing like the vent sessions, maybe trying to do a different activity with that person or just share more vague information. You don't necessarily have to say, me and so-and-so got into a fight. I'm not really in a good space right now. Maybe you can just say, hey, can we reschedule for next week? I didn't get much sleep last night. You can slowly but surely reduce some of that information that you share. Lastly, seeking support from the right sources. This is very important because, again, supporting yourself is the number one priority. You are your number one support, and if you don't feel comfortable with yourself, then you might seek it from others. If you need to seek support from a therapist, someone who will not share your information unless it's dangerous or, I highly recommend that. I also highly recommend self-care and self-improvement. I think you're doing that just by doing the research now, watching videos about oversharing. And I also encourage you just to spend more time with yourself. This could be taking yourself out for coffee, watching a movie by yourself, going to a restaurant by yourself, journaling, trying new things by yourself, taking swim lessons or trying a line dance class. If you are more comfortable with who you are, you might not need to seek that emotional connection with others. I think this is a very normal thing, and so I don't want you to think, oh, I messed up, this is something that I can't ever fix again. It's definitely not the case. And if you think about it, as humans, we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always evolving. That's just something to think about for you in the future. And that is the last tidbit of this video. It was a bit heavy today, but I hope it was motivating and I hope it was helpful. As always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you like, share, subscribe. And if you don't, I just appreciate you being here. So I will see you all in the next video. Bye.